in the core categories, our role will be to expand the pie. Because we're already leaders, so there's no point trying to just defend, recover, or gain a bit and lose a bit. There, our role is to expand the category and expand the pie. And India and the world has got huge potential. The second big will be win in new segments. And I would call out just one of them. There are many. Premium, for instance. That's a big pie in which we need to win.
Right.
And you will see a lot of actions on that front that's coming out.
Right.
Third, I would say, is build leadership in EV. Because that's a new segment that's coming up.
Yeah.
And we've already taken lots of strides in that. And the focus will be on that. I'm just singling out a few ones. Doesn't mean that these are the only ones in terms of the business priorities. And of course, the way we are going to do this is by focusing on people on one hand and customers on the other.
Right. So following the announcement of you being made the CEO, there were other restructuring measures that took place in the company as well, including BRS. Why was that done? How many employees have taken that? And why is it important for the company?
So Parikshit, from time to time, every company has to go through refreshing, talent churn, in order to ensure that the talent is future ready and future fit. We had not done that in Hero for a long time, and therefore we felt the need to actually refresh our talent so that it provides, as I said, the talent needs to be fit for the next 5, 7, 10 years time. And it was that exercise which was done, which was the management VRS. In the spirit of our philosophy of care, it was done with a very industry-leading package which was handed out to people. Overall, around 10% of the staff took the VRS, and that paves the way for the future in terms of building the organization, much simpler organization, de-layered, simplified, which will ensure that the speed at which we move will be much faster than what we have been doing.
Right, so you're saying 10% of the staff has taken VRS. Is the exercise over, or will that be done again in a few months?
So the current exercise is over. What's very important to understand is that the focus will be more and more on the outcome and performance. So we'll make it far more performance-driven and outcome-driven organization than an activity or action-driven organization.
Right, so that is your priority, to make it a performance-driven organization. Right, now speaking in terms of your distribution strategy, you mentioned 3 or 4 pillars that you would be working on. Let's begin with distribution. How do you plan to change that?
So firstly, I'm so proud to be taking over as a CEO of a company which has got unparalleled distribution network. We've got dealers who've been there for years. We reach out to the deepest and the widest corners of the country so that we provide mobility to masses, which is what our motto had been so far. Having said that, as you know, that any strength also requires refreshing and churn. The new generation wants a different retail experience. Premium, where we want to win, requires a different retail experience as well as different service experience. So what we are going to do is to first do a facelift of our current dealers. We are calling it Hero 2.0. And this will be a change in the VI, a bit of change in the layout, the way it looks, the spacing inside. It's essentially even some manpower, training, essentially to ensure that when you walk into the store, you are getting a very modern retail experience, which is more aligned to the next gen, and which is what we are going to change. So this 2.0 will be across 500 plus stores in the next 6 to 8 quarters.
Right.
So you will see that changing. It will have lots of element of digital also in it, embedded. So that's kind of a modern experience.
This is only for existing stores?
This is for the existing stores.
Right.
On top of that, as we are rolling out, you heard from us that this coming year, we'll see the maximum number of premium launches as compared to any other year in Hero's history. Now, obviously to win in premium, one of the cornerstones is to provide that experience at the store, the entire inquiry to the final conversion management of the customers in a very different way. So apart from this 2.0, where also we will have our premium product, we want to put in some of the cities and metros and some top towns exclusive premium stores as well. So which will house only the premium models. And therefore, those are the ones that will improve the brand imagery and the perception of our premium portfolio for the customers across. While we'll make this accessible in the Hero 2.0 stores as well.
How many premium stores would you be adding?
Well, we want to move at really high speed, but I would say, let's say, tentatively the target would be around 100 plus stores by March.
By March next year. So within this fiscal, 100 new premium stores.
Yes.
And that will be primarily for motorcycles only.
All premium products. So I won't call out as a motorcycle or scooter, but all premium products, we will provide that.
Including the Vida. Okay. Focus on premiumization.
Yeah.
Give us a sense of how many premium motorcycles you're looking to launch this year.
So I won't give out a number, but again I repeat that
there's already news of a Charisma doing the rounds, a Harley Davidson.
I think there'll be more news, that's all I can say.
Okay.
But let's watch the space. Of course, it's not that we've started the product now and we are launching it now. I mean, the work has started 3-4 years back. And we've been saying always that we are building the whole portfolio across CC and across different segments within the engine capacity. And now is the time, this year is the time when you will see these. So you've heard some news. I won't confirm or deny any of those, but watch the space. There'll be lots which will be coming soon our way. Not just this year, but follow on in the next year as well.
Okay, just to speak about Harley Davidson specifically, this motorcycle that has been developed, and I think the company has announced this also, this is a 420cc motorcycle that is going to be launched.
So let's wait for exact features and engine capacity of the motorcycle.
What is the role of both companies in developing this motorcycle?
It has been jointly developed. So primarily at our R&D center with inputs from Harley coming in because obviously the advantage is a brand association, and second, because they know the customer of that segment well. So in terms of styling, designing, XYZ. So both the teams have collaborated very well. And when we launch this and announce the launch date, you will hear more from both the teams.
Right. Will this be cross-badged as well? Will you be selling this motorcycle as Hero Moto Corp in India?
So on the same platform, yes, there will be a brand under Harley, and there will be a brand which will be badged under Hero Moto Corp as well. But both the products, by the way, are pretty much part of the same HMCL P&L because we are licensee for the brand in India. So it's pretty part of the same P&L. It's just that there will be two brands which will be operating under our stable.
Right. And for exports, will both be exported to global markets, or only the Hero Moto Corp motorcycle would be exported?
So as far as the Harley badge is concerned, right now it's for India. And as far as the badge that will be on the same platform, that of course would be for India and exports both. Both the companies are in discussion for taking this partnership to even wider and deeper levels.
Right. Is there possibility of making more bikes together in future? Maybe assembling more of Harley Davidson motorcycles in India?
There's always a possibility because collaborations always start small. And I would say we've not started small, we've started big by putting bikes in a segment which is one of the largest premium segment, most profitable segment. And both the teams are very happy. And we'll then, with starting on this base, we'll continue to discuss all other business opportunities.
Right. On that note, we are going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. When you return, we'll continue talking to Niranjan Gupta, the new CEO of Hero Moto Corp, about the company's electric vehicle plans to ramp up the sale of the Vida scooter to 100+ cities, exports, also how the slowdown in global markets is affecting the brand. Don't go anywhere, that's coming up on the other side. Welcome back. You are watching CNBC TV18 and you're joining us from the Gurgaon plant of Hero Moto Corp. With us right now is the new CEO of the company, Niranjan Gupta. Niranjan, thanks once again for being with us. Let me begin by asking about your market share, about growth in the India market and global markets. 8% growth in FY23. What kind of a growth are you really targeting? Slowdown in exports, this seems to be a concern. Do you see any improvement in exports at all?
So let me talk about the market share first and the growth. The way we look at it is we are very strong in the commuter segment. Give or take some bips here and there, it keeps moving. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we gain back. Our role there is to grow the category. It's not so much about market share. Our market share has to come from new segments, and which is where I spoke earlier to you about winning in premium. And that's where our market share, incremental market share is going to come from. Overall growth, we are quite optimistic on the economy as well. And of course, two-wheeler in specifically. Given that all the GDP indicators are tracking positively. We've seen some of the reports recently which has been revised upwards. We know the interest rate cycle which has been kind of paused. In a lot of countries, the cuts have started. The capex spending is high. All of these will translate into higher incomes and also propensity to spend, even at the bottom of the pyramid. And premium, of course, is growing very well because the middle class, upper middle class, they really want to spend. That consumerism, that spending is really going up. So we're quite optimistic about the growth prospects of the industry. And of course, given that we are going to come out with a lot of launches in the segments that we have not been, obviously we are targeting increase in market share.
How would you focus on increasing exports, increasing your global market share? Is there any blueprint, any plan you've put in place?
Yes, we do have plans in place. As I said, Parikshit, that while obviously we'll cater to all these markets, but disproportionately put resources in 8 to 10 markets. Some examples, for instance, Nigeria is a big market. It's a $1 million+ market. We've got Colombia, of course, close to 1 million. Closer home, you have Bangladesh, Nepal. Sri Lanka had suffered in economy, but it's coming back. Some of the African markets. Plus, we are also planning to enter some of the Southeast Asian markets, which are actually big markets. So that comprises the 8 to 10 big markets where we would really put our focus to scale up, while of course continue to cater to the rest of the market as well.
Right. Just to speak to you about the electric vehicle plans, the Vida was rolled out last December. How many scooters have been sold so far? You have a plan to touch 100 cities by the end of the year. What kind of a production ramp up are we looking at?
So I would see, because we launched 3 cities, we were doing pilot and testing. And then we said, if you remember in December, we had said that we will go to 10+ cities by March. The change that we have done is in the scale of ambition. And you've seen that we have already announced that forget 10, 20, and 30. We're going to go to 100+ towns before March end. So the key focus is on expanding and putting it in as many cities, because our product in these 3 cities, the customer feedback has been excellent. And that gives us confidence to now not just go to the next 10 or next 20, but just scale it up to 100+ towns. So I think that's one departure or a big change that we've done. The second that we are doing is, earlier, we had plans to put Vida only through exclusive stores, which is dedicated EV stores. And we've changed that now. So there will be dedicated stores in big cities and towns. But other than that, we'll also be using the Hero 2.0 that I spoke about and put our Vida in those stores. So effectively, in every city, we are going to actually sell through our existing dealer network as well. Now that's a very captive footfall that comes, and they're inquiring a lot about EV, a lot about Vida product. So we're going to capture that as well.
So how many touch points will Vida have by the end of the year in terms of outlets?
Should be 200+ at least. If you're talking 100 towns, some of the towns will have 3, 4, some may just have 1. So I would say 200+ in the next 12 months probably.
Ola today has become the market leader very fast. They're selling about 30,000 scooters a month. You wouldn't like to give us a number as to what kind of a monthly production that you're looking at?
Parikshit, all I can tell you is, given the framework of EV that's changing rapidly, whether it's in terms of customer, whether it's in terms of regulatory, or the battery side, the cost side, or the fame that everyone is aware of. I can only say that don't go by the current leadership in the market. It's going to change dramatically over the next 3 years.
How much are you going to be investing out of your capex towards electric vehicles right now? Could you give us a sense of that?
See, our capex guidance has been that, and typically we have given the guidance of between 1,000 to 1,500 crores a year. That's the range of capex guidance, and we do generate cash profit sufficient enough. Our working capital is not a cash guzzler, but cash positive. So the more we grow, the more working capital releases cash, because we operate on negative working capital through our efficiency of supply chain. Now that means that we've got enough cash to put behind capital, but 1,000 to 1,500 crores, because we don't need to invest now anymore behind ICE capacities. As you know, we are well invested there. So therefore, more and more investment out of this pie will be towards an EV and premium. So
out of this
they get
total
a higher
1,500 crores,
shares.
majority would go towards
EV
EVs.
and premium, absolutely.
Okay. Will VIDA remain a brand under Hero Moto Corp, or would you want to set up a separate company with a separate CEO, maybe sell a stake to a PE investor, an IPO in future?
So Parikshit, we keep, as a company, we keep evaluating all the options. Right now, our focus is to ensure that we build leadership in EV, and that's where the focus is. I think then creating shareholder value from that through corporate structuring, through hiving off, can always be done, whether it's now or later. I think right now we want to focus on the business, and then thereafter those decisions of corporate structuring, capital, PE are always on the anvil, always getting evaluated. And at the right appropriate time, we will take the call.
Right. How much of a hit did the company take because of the FAME subsidy reduction? Before that, you took a 20,000 price cut because of the charger issue, when you had to bundle the cost of the charger in the overall cost of the vehicle.
So I would answer it in a bit different way. First of all, on the retrospective impact, we have had very marginal impact because we had not sold many. We launched only in December. So unlike other players who had to cough up on the past. Moving forward, let me put it more from industry perspective. That overall, if you look at the industry revenues and costs put together because of these two regulatory changes and the FAME subsidy, would be impacted anywhere between 30,000 to 40,000 rupees per unit, per vehicle. Now the players need to find a way out, and the way out is a combination probably of pricing. Now the moment you do pricing, then your addressable market goes down to that extent, and then on the P&L you take some hit and therefore manage it through cost management. So my one answer to that would be, obviously we need to cater to the customer, and the price points have to be right for customers to buy. Therefore, the industry, including us, have to be overtly focused on innovations to reduce costs in EV. And I dare say that those players who are able to do it faster and bigger and better are the ones who will have more chances to survive and actually take the long run. Others will probably get folded or get consolidated.
Right.
Because it's a big number that we're talking about.
Right. So are you okay with FAME subsidies going all together, or would you want some subsidy support to continue always? And how are you going to keep the cost low, Niranjan? Could you also give us a sense of what is the current loss per vehicle in EVs?
Whatever policies that we have coming from the government has given PLI, it did FAME for some period of time. I think the visibility and stability of a long term for the policies, that's very important. Because eventually then industry and the players adapt to that reality. So I think rather than short term, whatever the decision is, the visibility should be there, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. Make it visible at the upfront, all the quantum, so that you don't have to make these changes. So I think these changes are the ones that puts industry out of the gear. Otherwise, whatever decision taken should have a long-term stability and visibility. Leaving that aside, industry cannot be reliant on subsidies. There's no business model that should be reliant on subsidies for long term. So the faster we adopt or adapt to this and have viable business models, and which means focused on technology, innovation, to ensure that you are cost competitive. Because so far, the new players, the startups have focused on being price and product competitive.
Right.
But what has been forgotten is to be cost competitive and business competitive.
Correct.
And I think, and that's probably because of the earlier era of funding, where cash burn used to be the fancy word. And that cash burn has now fortunately gone back to cash earn. And the moment you do that, then you're focusing on the right P&L parameters.
Right.
So I think that's very important. Good thing is that everybody is working on that direction. And solutions will emerge.
Right. My final question.
Yeah.
CNBC-TV18 has been running a campaign called Future Female Forward to increase the representation of women from the shop floor to the boardrooms and have enabling policies as well. As part of your new role, do you also have a mandate to increase women participation across the workforce from the factory floor all the way to the boardroom, somehow to ensure that with enabling policies?
Parikshit, thanks for asking that question. And it's not a mandate, because D&I is very close to my heart. It's my personal priority as well. Recently, we came out with that statement as well, that we want to reach 30% by 2030. And our board is already having 30% in terms of representation. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about is, A, it's not just a number. So we're not going to drive mindlessly a number. Meritocracy will continue to remain priority. So it's not about just having a number for the sake of numbers. It will be 30% women in our entire employee base, and there because they rightly deserve to be there, and they rightly compete at the same level, and not because we are driving a number. I think that's one. Second, I'm going to focus on a wider definition of diversity. So not just gender diversity. Of course, there is that one number, because we are today as 10%. And we need to over-index that to ensure that we have the right gender balance in our company. And we all know that once you have the right gender balance, in society, you've got 50-50.
Correct.
In education colleges, now you've got 40-60 or 50-50. You see the results of class 10, 12, CA, MBA. You see all of that. So there's no reason why we can't have the fair balance in our company, and that's the purpose. But it will be wider diversity, diversity of thoughts, opinions, on the table, of backgrounds, of countries. So all kinds of diversity we will embrace. So it will be a D&I in true sense, and not just gender diversity.
All right, Niranjan, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18 for your first interview, giving us your outlook on what the board expects from you in order to drive Hero Moto Corp in the electric era, drive growth in global markets, and also drive premiumization as well. Thanks once again.
Thanks, Parikshit. It was really delighted.
Wonderful talking to you.
Thanks. Wonderful talking to you.